What is up, guys? It is the Sound Alchemist, and I'm back at it to bring you 40 facts on the Warhammer universe. This time we are diving into AoS lore. That's right, guys, it's time for Age of Sigmar. But today, as you guys all know, is the beginning of October, and that means we'll be putting out spooky and horrific stuff for you guys. And I thought, what a better way than to start with Khorne. So that being said, we're diving into the lore for the Bloodbound of Khorne. So without further ado, let's dive into this brutal and horrific lore. The ruinous powers of chaos is finally supreme, and the mortal realms are sundered, corrupted by howling blood-mad beasts. It is indeed a time of morbid horror and absolute madness. The murderous champions of the Chaos Gods fight furiously to extinguish the last lights of hope, and none fight harder or command more fear than the savage hordes of Khorne's Bloodbound. Daubed with the blood of God's ruin, muscular beyond belief, and foaming with rage, these warriors descend upon their enemies, screaming, leaving nothing alive. Since the age of chaos begun, the Bloodbound have plagued every realm, rarely knowing defeat, and they are indeed unstoppable in anything that comes across their path. But now begins the Age of Sigmar, and the Bloodbound are pleased to meet his new challenge. The Bloodbound charge on through clouds of arrows and blasts of sorcerer's power, trampling over their own fallen in their eagerness to kill. When they smash headlong into their foes, they do so with a mighty rending crash. Axes rise and fall, blood gushes, and those who stand in their way are often slaughtered with no remorse. Throughout the mortal realms, voices beyond scream praise to Khorne. Everywhere, ragged knights and tribal warriors daub themselves with the blood god's rune, fighting and killing in his name. However, any warrior may offer up his soul to Khorne, but only those who prove themselves worthy are chosen by their god. These are the Bloodbound, the most powerful, belligerent, and murderous of Khorne's devotees, and they are indeed a curse upon the mortal realms. Tribes, cities, and even nations have been toppled by these brutal reavers, and oceans of blood have been shed in Khorne's name. As the Age of Chaos raged on, howling hordes of Bloodbound burst from the 8 points, descending upon the mortal realms at the head of the chaotic hosts. With Sigmar's alliance in tatters, and the God King's forces locked in a fruitless war against Nagash, the people of the realms were forced to look for their own defense. Mighty gates rumbled closed, enchantments binding them tight. Arcane energies hummed to life, giving power to protective wards. City guards and militia hosts in the millions closed ranks and readied their blades. They did not stand a hair of a chance. With the servants of the other dark gods close on their heels, the Bloodborn was ready for war. The Bloodborn smashed their foes' defenses asunder without a second thought. Gates came crushing down, cities burned in hellish pyres, corpses piled higher and higher until blood-soaked mountains of carrion loomed all over the land. And so it continued, for years, then decades, then centuries, with no end in sight. Civilizations beyond number fell beneath the axes of Khorne's chosen. Time and again, some proud chieftain or shining hero declared himself the scourge of these rampaging murderers, and time again, his skull found its place at the blood god's feet. So terrible were the conquests of the Bloodborn that Khorne rose to prominence amongst the gods, and even his dark brothers shuddered at his might. Amid the valleys of dawn, a swath of shattered crystal and glass spread for hundreds of miles, where once stood the Sanctum of Stars. Tribal legends tell that here the Brotherhood of Sacred Radiance guarded the spark of knowledge for thousands of years. And then came the Bloodbound. The war horde known as the Brass Skulls burst from the realm gate at the Sanctum's heart, falling upon the Brotherhood with wild fury. Though the priests fought back with sorcerer's powers, they were slaughtered mercilessly, and the Sanctum of Stars toppled to ruin. Amid the labyrinthine caves of the echoing rock and gur, crude cave paintings wind through the tunnels for leagues on end. They tell of a time when the Oruks of the Iron Tusk Rampage made common cause with the Seraphim host to battle the Bloodbound and their Skaven lackeys. For 3 days and nights, the Oruks and the Seraphim fought side by side against the war horde known as the Red Butchers. For a time, it seemed that Chaos forces would be hurled back in defeat. Yet hope failed when the whirling cogs of an Arakabulum rose from the earth, the mechanism's strange powers spurring the Bloodbound on. A terrible slaughter ensued, the death toll so great that the Bloodbound were able to raise the bastions of bone that still sundered the echoing rock to this day. Unfortunate for those with life, the Bloodborne rampaged across the mortal realms, and death and destruction soon followed. It was they who overcame the bone shard behemoths of Hollow's Reach, and sacked the cities that festooned with megalithic forms. It was the Bloodbound who felled the Chronohydrian amid the night woods, following a trail of rebirth to the cavern lair and hacking off its horned heads. The Bloodbound even crushed the Beastclaw ogres of Mournful Valley, along with the rotted warbands of Pustus Phobab, who sought to claim the ogres' lives for Nurgle. 1,000 such tales abound, bellowed with pride by the dark seers of the Bloodbound. The slaughter priests, even as they are whispered by the folk of realms, always hunt for more skulls. But such is the way of Khorne, for he must always have bloodshed and violence, no matter the price. Yet here the cost to chaos had been great indeed, for the Dark God's alliance in the mortal realms, which had lasted since the Age of Chaos began, was no more. All of the Dark siblings, even the Blood God, had been significantly weakened by the sudden and brutal civil war between all of Chaos. The realms of heavens remained as impregnable as ever, its gates resistance all attempts to smash them asunder. Worse still, what prey remained within the mortal realms had become elusive and troublesome to pursue. It seemed as though the final victory of the Dark Gods, so long presumed and inevitable, might now drag out into a long, grinding, dissatisfying stalemate that threatened to last for centuries to come. Currently, across the mortal realms, the shadows of darkness stretch long. Where once myriad people prospered, now their scattered bones stretch for miles. Where once great miracles of magic lit the lands with their glory, now skull-clad fortresses of brass and iron squat amidst the ruins. Around the gates of Azir, vast Khornate hordes bay for blood, their siege engines battering relentlessly at the last true stronghold of their foes. The Dark Gods looked on, thirsting for those glories left to claim. Soon Azir's gates must surely fall, and when they do, the last light of hope would be snuffed out forever. However, before these mighty gates could be breached, the storm of Sigmar broke. All across the realms, from Olgu all the way to Girion and beyond, the skies tore open with a furious glow. Down from the storms came rank after rank of the almighty Stormcast Eternals. Sigmar's great army of retribution was the first to strike the blows for a whole new war. Within his infernal throne room, Khorne rose to his feet and roared in fury as he saw his victory, which was long presumed certain for him, slipping from his grasp. Yet even as he raged, the Blood God rejoiced, for here at last was a foe worthy of him. As one, the Bloodbound bellowed their war cries and surged into battle once more. The age of Sigmar had begun, and the slaughter that followed would make all that had come before seem but a pale echo of what it can be. And that brings us to the end of yet another 40 Facts video. So what did you guys think of these Masters of Carnage, the Bloodbound of Khorne? Now of course it's AoS, but between AoS Khorne and 40k Khorne, it's pretty much all the same thing. He is a master of blood, violence, skulls, and this guy's pretty beefy no matter what. But if you guys play AoS and if you play 40k, is there really a difference between the two armies? I wouldn't think so, since it's all pretty much tailored to close combat. But anyway, if you don't play Age of Sigmar, that's alright, because I feel like you're getting the same experience over in 40k. But anyway guys, this is the beginning of the month of October, so that means we're going to be doing a lot more scary and spooky stuff in the form of lores. Hopefully we can get some battle reports finally out there, but we'll see about that. So in the meantime, let us know what other topics you want us to cover. Perhaps you want to go demonic with the Demons of Chaos. Or maybe you want to dive into the sadistic side of the Dark Eldar. Again guys, let us know in the comments below, and we'll go ahead and pick out the spookiest and horrific ones for our lores. Now don't forget guys, we do have a Patreon page, an Instagram page, a Twitter page, and a Facebook page. Facebook is probably the best way to contact us. We check it each and every day. And that means we also update it each and every day. So if you want some more 40k stuff, as well as some other things nerdy and whatnot, check out our Facebook page. And that's pretty much it guys. As always, I am the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.